Sarmatian Horsemen, which are a better version, have 48 melee attack, 27 weapon damage, 10 bonus versus large, 38 charge, 47 melee defense, 60 armor, 90 health, and 55 morale. Both of them have Draco. When you jump over to Massagetae, okay, so I was wrong. So these, actually I was right. The Nomads do have mercenaries. However, you can only recruit like 3 of these guys compared to Royal Scythia, which can recruit like a number of them. Step horse archers I've gone over. Amazonian riders I've gone over. It's just that the Scythians can have an unlimited amount of them. Armored horse archers I've gone over, and noble horse archers I've gone over. They have the same ballista strengths. They have units that are not very costly, but are pretty good. They have a good lancer unit, and they have the regular lancers for the nomad factions rather. Their weaknesses, I mean, unlike the Royal Scythians, they don't have a high tier melee cav unit. And so in some engagements, like especially when you're going up against the Armenians, I mean the eastern factions, you may lose in a dried out battle because the Parthians and Armenians rely more on shock cav, and shock cav have 10 bonus versus large, which makes Draco kind of ineffective against them. Again, you want to use Draco more against excuse me. You want to use Draco more against spear units or melee cav because they have 20, 25, and 30 bonus versus large, respectively. And that's about it for this faction. They're a nice faction, but they're not as diverse as Royal Scythia. However, Massagetae is not as diverse at all. As I mentioned, they only have 4 groups, 3 of which are really melee capable. Noble horse archers I've gone over. Cataphract horse archers I haven't. They're just like noble horse archers for the Armenians and Parthians. 40 missile damage, 125 range, 7 shots per minute, 53 melee attack, which is good, 34 weapon damage, which is good. In fact, I'm not sure if that's better than Parthia, for example. Yes, it is. They're better in melee than Parthia is. 18 charge, 18 melee defense, 90 armor, 95 health, 70 morale. A good unit. They can take a lot of punishment. They're just like tanks in Company of Heroes 2. These guys take punishment while other units are free to fire. These guys are probably the guys you want to be focused fired on, even though they are a mounted cav unit. Anyway, moving on. Sack of Cataphracts. As I mentioned, this faction relies on shock cav. As the name implies, they are cataphracts, however they're not the strongest. Well, they are the strongest when it comes to charge, but not when it comes to staying in combat. Anyway, they have 45 melee attack, 27 weapon damage, 10 bonus versus large, 68 charge, 25 melee defense, 90 armor, 120 health, 70 morale. They also have trample and expert charge defense. Sack of Noble armored lancers. They have less armor than the cataphracts because obviously cataphracts tend to have the heaviest armor, but are better in melee. They have 55 melee attack, 27 weapon damage, 10 bonus versus large, 63 charge, 23 melee defense, 90 armor, 100 health, 65 morale. Now, the reason why these guys cost more than the cataphracts is they do not have trample, but they have Draco. If I'm correct, these guys are the only unit in this faction that has Draco, like how the Royal Scythians only have the Royal Horse. So don't be alarmed. Don't say that this faction is like complete garbage. You know, because they're a really nice faction, they're the best when it comes to having good shock cav, and therefore the best when it comes to impact. I mean, I've gone over all of these units anyway, so I don't have to, and I've gone over the field artillery. Strengths are their shock cav and missile cav. Weaknesses are their lack of melee cav. Because they have no melee cav, they're not the strongest when it comes to a drawn out cav battle. If you can route like an Armenian or a Parthian melee cav build, then early on, and then you can win pretty much. However, when it comes to spear units that aren't charged on, a good spear unit like a high tier Hoplite unit that hasn't been charged on, then these guys tend to lose pretty quickly. And when you're retreating, as I mentioned before in other streams, when you retreat in Emperor Edition, your melee defense drops to 0. And that's when your men can get killed the easiest, because they get hit on constantly. Get the joke? Anyway, the strengths of the Nomads is that they're more of a mobility faction. The weakness is you have to rely on micro. These guys are the most micro intensive factions in the game. No other faction will have the same micro intensity as they will. Even if you go all melee with a faction like Parthia, Armenia, like those factions, they just don't have the same effect, because these guys have cav that, if you don't pay attention to, will get massacred by enemy missiles. So instead of regularly, I just jump into gameplay. I'm gonna see if I can find a replay, because I tend to have like a bunch with the Nomads, because I like them. Factions that aren't played as often, I like to play as. Now, just excuse me. Anyway, where was I? Oh yes, I was going to getting a faction. I mean, getting a replay. I think I should go by names. Where's my 70th, 80th, 90th? Did I actually jump? I think I jumped 70th, 80th, 90th victories and just went straight to 90th and whatnot. I think I did. I'm not that silly. I couldn't have just jumped numbers. I think I did. Oh wow. I jumped numbers. So that means that I can't find... I don't think I can actually find a replay. Like, I have to look deeper. I'm not a big fan of the FSU clan. Yeah, because I went over this replay already. Did I actually skip numbers? I feel really salty. Okay, so that's the last replay jeez, this is embarrassing. Really? I missed numbers. Oh my god. And then I think... Wait, this is last month, so no, that's not when I started streaming. I remember I started streaming when those guys escaped from prison. Quite a coincidence. Are you serious? I have to find a replay? I mean, I have to go make another one? I feel salty. I'm gonna have to redo my replay list. Because today's the 22nd and I haven't been streaming, and I didn't stream in May. Really? I missed numbers. That's not like me. And then this is when I changed my name. And then this is when I started streaming. So yeah, I'm missing replays, which is so weird. And if I look deep enough, I know I'll find one that's, you know, has a warning, because it's an older version. But I didn't want to do that. I want to find one that's more current. I wonder why I saved that one. I kid you not, I think they got deleted. I mean, here's one with Royal Scythia. This one. It's not like me to do that. I remember this replay. Oh, I remember this replay. Even though it's been so long, I remember this replay. I think I got the most kills in this game. And it's just because I was outmaneuvering Rome so much. I mean, I think he tried to have a cavalry engagement and it went awry because he didn't use his gladiatresses. I mean, gladiator spearwomen, I think they're called.
No big speeches can take down the enemy in front of us. That is up to you. Draw your swords, obey my orders, and unleash terror on these pitiful beasts.
Now, if I'm correct, this battle I'm going to, you know, be very mobile. Because what I tend to do is I play differently with the Nomads than I do with other factions because they're a cavalry faction. I mean, they're cavalry based. They have no infantry. And infantry are less micro and